Hello, and welcome back. Today we are talking about authentication. So again, Django comes with a lot of functionality. And one of the functionalities that I really appreciate is the authentication and security. Django is not, lightweight. It comes with a lot of bells and whistles that often we don't use because it's just like, it's there if you want it and you don't have to use it. Security is probably something that we all want to use, and authentication and making sure that we handle user credentials in a secure way. This is something we don't want to think about. It involves a lot of work, and Django gives it to us for free. So for that, I'm going to create a new app. Let's call it Start App, and let's call it Accounts. And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it My Auth because auth already exists in Django. You can call it users. I like to call it accounts because the first tutorial I did with Django called it accounts, and I'm sticking to this. Okay. So what's the first step after creating a new app? We go to Mark's portfolio, settings, and we add that to here. So let me just add it here. Okay, accounts. So that's in here. And then I want to lay out what are we going to do with those accounts. So what kind of views are we going to create there? And I was thinking, should we go with class-based views or function-based views? And I mean, if we use class-based views, the beauty of that is you can simply put them into your URLs and they will work. But I think we want to have a bit more control and also change some forms for logging in and registering. So I'm going to go with the function-based views. So the views I want to build are register, login, and logout. We're not going to look at forgot password just yet because I want to set up the email sending service for us. So before that, we are going to just stick to the basic register, login, and logout. Okay, so here's a boilerplate that I want to use. So we'll have register, login view, and logout view. I put that view suffix here because login and logout already exist in Django. So I just don't want to have a conflict there. So now we have to build those. And obviously these are not finished. It's just a boilerplate for us to use. Just because I want to put that into URLs. And then we have to build those HTMLs and put the logic here. Okay, so let's create a URLs file. You can add that there. And in URLs, we want to go from Django.urls, import path, and from here, import views. Okay, and the app name is accounts. And for URL patterns, we want to put those. Okay, so path, and the first one will be register slash, and that's going to take the views and the register function, and the name is register. Okay, comma, duplicate, and login, and we're going to use login view. And that's our login. And the last one will be logout. We take the logout view and we call it logout. Okay, so we have our three views here, and obviously they have to go to the main URLs file, the same way as, for example, air pollution. So I'm going to just do duplication here and go to here and do accounts and go to accounts URLs. Okay, so that makes the views hooked up. We still don't have the templates, so let's close the URLs. Settings can go as well, and let's build the register HTML first. So maybe I'll just make those two boilerplates as well. So let's go to templates, and in here we want to create a new file, and it's going to be accounts/register HTML. Okay, add it. as a boilerplate, we want to add obviously the extends base.html. Base.html. I want to load static, just in case we use any static. And then obviously we need to put this block content and end this block. End block, okay? And that's where all of the HTML goes in. And let me just stop this. Let me just copy this and create the login HTML2. So now our so URLs can go register. Let me see, views. Okay. So as you can see, it's not highlighted anymore by PyCharm. So it means that those two files exist. So now we can test them very quick just to make sure that we have them where we want to have them. So let's start the server here and I can see, okay, I made a mistake somewhere. Yes, I left those brackets here. They shouldn't be here because it's we're not calling this function. We are only passing it as an object. Okay, now it works. Let's go to our website and let's go. So again, if you set it up this way, that in main URLs, you have accounts / and we include whatever is in accounts URLs, and in accounts URLs, we have register, login, and logout, we should be able to access those URLs this way. Accounts, login. Okay, and login seems to be working. It is extending our base and it's putting nothing into the content. And as you can see, it's the URL is there. Register seems to be there as well. And if I go to logout, it does redirect me to login. So it seems to be working. Okay, the last file we need is the forms. And I think it's going to be a great practice for using forms, as the last time we spoke about customizing forms, and so it's going to be a great practice here. So let's add a forms.py. You can add it now. Okay, so we need to get from Django import forms. That's the first one. And I want to start with user creation form for register. Okay, so let's from Django.contrib.auth.forms import user creation form. Okay, that's going to be the one that we want to customize. And then there is from Django.contrib.auth.models. So you can see that in the same kind of package in auth, we took from forms this form, and then from models, we want to get import models, import user. Okay, and that's a model just like we built before, models, but it's a built-in Django model that comes with Django automatically in a package for free. So and we will use it to use it with the user creation form. Okay, so let's go and build this class called, let's say, custom, and then just user creation form. So it's the same name but with custom inside, and then we're going to pass here user creation form. Okay, and first you might remember class meta, and we pass this model there. So this is where we specify what kind of model we're going to use for this creation. Okay, so that's our model form, which is called user creation form because it's somehow customized model form. So if it's a model form, you need to pass the user in here. So the model that we're using for this model form. And then we need to specify what fields we're using, and it's a list of strings. By default, as far as I know, Django gives you a username, email, password 1 and password 2. And we want to change it slightly. We want to give it a first name, last name, email, and password 1, password 2. Okay, let's go down here. And in here, we're going to customize those fields, right? And by the way, just as a cheat, we can go and using command button, we can go into this user creation form and see how it was written by default. So as I mentioned, we have this password 1, password 2 in here. And then let me see. So we might want to go to model form. No. So in here we have password 1, password 2. I'm pretty sure I could see more somewhere. So we have username, and you just use username field. and then we have this password1, password2. So at least we have this, we can see that, okay, they're using something called password input for password. So maybe we can get some inputs for text, for email, and so on. So let's go back here. And what I want is we want to specify different input types for different fields. So let's go and do first name will be some forms.field, and we're going to pass some stuff in here. Then we are going to have last name, and then there is email. Then we have password1 and password2. And if you remember, to specify what kind of widget will be used for this, what kind of field in HTML is supposed to be used for this, we go inside of the brackets here and we specify, okay, I want this to be forms dot text input. Okay, that's for the first name. I want it to be text input, which is like inline text input, and I want to pass some attributes there. Okay, simple HTML attributes go in here. So I'm going to just put a line break here, and we can specify whatever classes, ID, whatever HTML attributes you can put into text input, you can put it in here. So I want to give it a class. And what class do I want to give in here? Let me see. Let me go back to my files, and I want to open documents, no, downloads. I want to open my templates and go to register.html. So inside, let me just show you here, inside of this Bootstrap SB admin 2, the stuff that we download from Bootstrap templates site, there's this register.html in here. So let me just like put it in here. It's not in our project, but we can still open it in our IDE. So let me just push it all the way to the right so I can see that it's not in our project. But it's, you can see I highlighted already stuff that I want to copy because I worked with it already. But basically, yeah, I would do this. I would just go into this HTML template, and it doesn't recognize base. Like we built this base HTML for Django, but obviously plain HTML wouldn't see it. It would just copy and paste the base every single time. So we need to recognize where's our base and where's our content. And that's what I did. I found the body and then this container here, and I know that we built it around this container. So whatever is inside is whatever we want to copy. So I have it selected already. It's between these two divs. So I'm going to just copy this and go to register.html and paste it in here. And let's have a quick look at the classes that are being passed to the text inputs. We have form control and form user. So I can just take this, okay, and I can see this placeholder here. So anyway, let's go back to forms, and now we pass this in here. So the class is form control and form control user, and that's how we get this specific template styling, okay? And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. And the next element here was a placeholder, which was first name. It's going to be pretty similar to all of those fields. We're going to change this for email and password, but I can copy this, and one by one we can fill it out. So this will be only different in here. So that's the last name. In here we want to put in the, instead of text input, we want to make it email input. But the attributes will be pretty much the same except for this placeholder. If you want to have a placeholder, you don't have to, because we're going to have the labels, and you'll see in a second how. Okay, and then we have this password1, password2. So this is going to be slightly different. So again, that's going to be password input, the same classes. That's going to be the password here. And so what we can pass, except for the attributes. So here we are passing the attributes, but we can also add a little bit more to customize more than just the field, which in this case, I want to customize the label. And you know what, I'm going to leave it for now, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we generate it without putting the label in. And then you'll see why would you want to change the label. So password input, that's all the same. And in here, we just say confirm password. Okay, so we have our simple boilerplate for this user creation form. We can pass it to our view now. So let's go to the views. So in our views, I want to add my custom from forms import custom creation using user creation form, and I want to pass it in here at the beginning. Form is our custom user creation form, and I instantiate it in here. And now, so if we post it to the same view to register, we want to actually save it. So if request dot method is post, then do this. Form is actually something else. Form will be also the custom creation form, but that's going to take some data in. So request dot post. So now we are handling the post, the information from the post request, and we pass it to this custom user creation form, and it knows what to do with it already. We just have to validate it. So if form dot is valid, we can go ahead and do form dot save. So look how much abstraction we get from this form. We just have to check if it's valid. Obviously, we can overwrite is valid, and we can overwrite save, and we will, by the way, for this form in a second. And then we want to send a message, so we need to go to contrib from Django.contrib import messages. Okay, and we want to say here messages.success. We pass the request in here and then some message here. Let's make it so we make a formatted string, and from form, as you might remember, we take the cleaned data and we want to take the email here. So let's use the double quotes here, email. Okay, and having this email, we can say registered successfully. Okay, so email registered successfully. Okay, registered successfully. And in here we have some context, so we want to pass it in here. We want to use that form in our register.html. Okay, so let's go here and let's say that in context, form is our form. So into a context variable name form, we're passing our form either from here or from here. Okay, and then we can very easily use that in our HTML. So let's go to accounts register, and in here, so we have already something. And if you want to see what it was, you can go and go to start Bootstrap themes, go to our SB2, which is that one here, open, and if you go to components, no utilities, no pages, register. So that's the default. That's what they want it to look like. We have some, so that's the rounded thing that we get from this class that I put into our form. Let's go to forms. That's the form control user that makes this so nice and round. So one thing is we can lay it out the same way. It's a lot of more work, but we can get exactly the same view. Or we can do a very simple shortcut, which I prefer because it's way less work, way less customizing. Here's our form. We can rip it all out. Whatever was in here, it can go. And by the way, we also won't be using the Gmail and Facebook register for now at least. And in here, I'm going to do this. CSRF token. You always have to pass that inside of a form. Also in here, you might want to mention that it's going to be method post. Okay, CRS token. And then having this form in the context, we can do this. Form. Let me see if it works. Yeah, I think we have to also say it's crispy. So let's all go here and let's load crispy forms tags. Crispy forms tags. Okay, it's gonna show as if it was not recognized, but it should work. And if I pass a pipe in here and say make it crispy, it should use some of the crispy formatting, which makes it just look nice. And also it uses our classes that we pass in there. Okay, so what about we check what we can find on our site? So let's go to register now. Okay, we have to run our, okay, reload. And as you can see, the difference is visible. So if I go to the SB, it looks somehow, you know, fancier because you see first name and second name is in the same line. And then, you know, more is happening in here. This one is a bit more plain. We have to have those labels here, and I'm thinking it's fine. Like I like it. I don't mind that it's this way. We have a label. We have those it still looks nice. So I'm gonna just stick to this. I'm gonna leave it that way because it's so much quicker. Instead of going through line by line through all those inputs, I can just say, hey, form, be crispy, and print out whatever I told you to print out in the forms file. I forgot about the button here, so I think it was there, but I can create it very quick. That's going to be type submit, and we have to pass classes here, and that was the button. That was, I think, primary, and then button user, and I know that because I have a cheat sheet on my right side. And then we had, I just deleted too much, block. Okay, that's gonna be the block. You can close this, and inside of that button we just say register account. Okay, so if I go back here and refresh, we have our register account, which will send us to register view with post request. So one thing that I wanted to show you is what happens with the labels. Without passing the label, we just get a capitalized field name without underscore. So for example, first name, we capitalized it and we took the underscore, we put a space in here. So that's the difference. And also with the password here, instead of having like password and confirm password, we just have the field name, which is capitalized. And we don't want that. We want that to be password and this to say confirm password. So let's go here, and it can be very easily changed. So outside of attributes, so we need to be outside of attributes. In here, I want to say label. Oh, no, sorry, just here. Okay, so we have to be outside of widget actually. So it's not going to be the password input. We just do it outside, and one of the attributes we can pass to the field itself is the label. That's going to be password, and that's going to be label is confirm password. Okay, and let's refresh, reload. Password and confirm password is here. It's a duplicate of what is inside of a placeholder, so it's your choice if you want to stick to both of them or maybe just get rid of the placeholders. I was just showing you that you can pass that in there and it works if you want them to work there. So now the way the registration works here is that we have this first name, last name, email, and password. So these will be the fields that will be filled out. And we do want to have a username for each user. It's actually a good idea to have a username. And what do you think what the username should be? First name, last name, email. I'd say email is the most unique thing. Email is always unique to an account. So what I want to do is whenever we save this form, I want this form to say, okay, email is this, so also username will be this, okay? And that's where we can use the save method of the form here. So we can override the save method. So let's go down here and override save, and PyCharm is already being helpful and gives me all the attributes that I need for overriding save, which is very nice. So first thing, I want to get the instance, and to get that, an instance is just like the user being saved, but what I want to say is, okay, do whatever you do, super, do whatever you do with the save, but you know what, don't commit yet. I don't want to commit just yet, which means don't save in database. I just want to get the instance, the object in Python, and do something to it and then save. Instance.username. So what I want to do is I want to pass the email of the instance, email into username. Okay, it was blank before because we don't have that field in here, so it would be blank. But what I want to say is, hey, pass that email into username, and then if commit is true, or just you can say commit instance save, and we're saving not with the form, but we are saving with the user model. So it's a different method. So we basically save it to the database, and then we have to return the instance. Okay, so that's all you have to do for overriding save and adding this feature that is saving an email in the username. And so let's try it out. Let me just refresh here. So let's register a person here. So let's do Marek, and then Kubiak, and then maybe ABCD at, gmail.com, and then some password here, and the password has to be like Django password. So if I make it too short, for example, and try to register, we already get this password is too short. It must contain 8 characters, because that's what comes with Django forms, which is beautiful. Like, you don't have to set it up. Obviously you can change it in validation if you want, and also in settings you can change the typical let me see here. I was looking at some constraints here. So we have like minimum length validator, common password validator. So we have a couple of different validators here. But yeah, so like you can change everything. But it's nice to keep those. Is that enough? Yeah, that should be enough. Okay, and let's register. And abcd@gmail.com registered successfully. So where is it now? Let's go to admin. So localhost 8080 admin, and log in as an admin. And let's go here. Okay, and we are in the users. So we have this admin user here that we built using create super user in the console at the very beginning. And in here we have the new user, which uses the username abcd, and then email also is abcd@gmail.com. Then we have first name, second name. It's not a staff account, so which means like it's not an admin. So right now I'm logged in as an admin. If I logged in as abcd@gmail.com, I wouldn't be able to see this, okay? And whoever would try to get into admin, they wouldn't if they don't have this staff status. If I go in and I change that, I can still change that. And by the way, you have a couple of nifty functionalities coming with users. It's not just name and surname. You have like groups and different permissions. So it's pretty cool. And I'm not going to go through it today, but it's interesting stuff and can be very useful for general kind of user management and permission management. Just in register.html, one last thing is we have those 2 references here that we don't want to reference to simple HTML. We want them to be links to like Django system, URL thing. For now, we are not doing forgot password. We wait for email to be hooked up. So I'm going to just get rid of this. And in here, we can change this to account login. So just change it to the typical URL tag with the accounts login. Okay, and let's check this out here. Refresh, and if we go to register, so accounts/register, we should have this link here. Already have an account login. Okay, and we're in login, but we don't have the HTML done yet. Okay, so let's work on login now. I would like to start with the views. So in here we have our place for login view, and let's start working on it. So one thing is that let me just put a breakpoint here and change this into the debugger, and go here and try to open login. And let's have a look, what do we have in request? And how can we say if we are logged in or not? So here is a user. That is, okay, so I'm an admin. So I am already using the authentication from just the beginning. Just from the moment I created this admin and I started using this, I already tapped into the, the Django user system. So you can see that in here we are authenticated, and is authenticated is true, okay? If I logged out, let me go here and log out. And let's refresh our login again. You'll see that the user is false, is not authenticated, it's an anonymous user, okay? So we can use that here. We can say if the user is not authenticated, if the user is authenticated, then just don't try to log in. Just redirect me somewhere else to homepage maybe and say that I'm already logged in. So let's do that. If request.user.is authenticated, just message. And I'm going to use info because it's not a big deal. I'm not going to say, hey, warning or error. It's just, you're still logged in. If you want to log out, then just go to logout. And by the way, I want to put a bit of HTML in this message. I don't want it to be plain, just text. I want to put a bit of styling there. So let's try that. I don't know if I can do it now. So let's try. You are already logged in as, and let's just put F in here. So we can put a bit of data. Request.user.email, and let's put B around this. Okay, let's try to put it into bold. Okay, just period, and let's give it a go. Let's see if I save this and it refreshes. If I log in, So let me, and it's not going to show anything. So let me change that to username. Okay, and let me log back in as admin. So just log back in as admin, and I'm in here. And so I'm going to try to go to login, enter, and it took me here. Okay, let's take this out. So let's just see what we got in here. So there is the info message that puts this B in here instead of using it as an actual HTML tag. And I know the reason. It's a security thing. If you passed some malicious HTML into messages, you could break some things. And to be super airtight, you don't want to allow your messaging to do safe HTML. There is a tag that we can use in messages HTML and just say, give me a message pipe safe, and that's gonna do that's gonna allow the HTML to be analyzed and used. But we don't want to do that on a global scale. We just want to use that in here just for security. So let's go to utils. So from Django.utils.safe string import mark safe. Okay. And so just remember that something like this exists. And in here, we can change that to mark safe and put that into brackets. Okay. So now if we refresh and go here and refresh, you're logged in as admin. And now it's in bold and we are using the HTML here. Perfect. So obviously what we want to do also is redirect. And I think the best place would be website index, and that's going to take us all the way to the home page. What's going on here? Okay, I have to return it. Okay, beautiful. So it just ran this, and basically it kind of prepared redirection, but it didn't actually redirect us there. Okay, so now we've been redirected to the home page and we have this message. So if I refresh now, there is no message because we're not trying to go to login. Okay, cool. Next, we have to take care of the post method. So if request.method equals post, capital letters. So we are going to get the information that we pass with the form from the login page, which is username, password, and remember me. Okay, so let's do it. Username is request.post, all capitals, .get. So it's a dictionary that we are getting stuff from. Username, and I'm going to just duplicate it thrice. Password, and remember me, and remember me. So what do we do with this? There is something very simple that we can use from Django. We want to grab some stuff from auth. So from django.contrib.auth, import a couple of things. We want to import authenticate. We also want to import login, and we want to import logout for the future, and we are good to go. Okay, so we want to authenticate this those credentials now. Okay, so let's go down here and do authenticate. We need to pass the request, then the username, which is username, and password, which will be password. And that needs to be passed into a user. Okay, and now we need to check if users. So if user, and we just want to make sure that we are authenticated, that we found the user with this username and this password. We want to say, okay, login, we pass this request and that user. And in here we can put a message, messages.success. We pass the request first and then the message saying user, and here we're gonna say user.username logged in successfully. Okay. And so what do we do with this remember me? And by the way, I don't know what is not working, but it didn't work for me. What I found is we're supposed to do something very simple, which is if not remember me. So if it's not, and if it's selected, by the way, it's supposed to pass a string on, and if it's not selected, then it passes string an empty string. So if it's not remember me, so empty string is still false, you should say request.session.set expiry expiry to 0. Okay, we'll see how it works. So what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to log you out the moment you close the browser. Maybe this shouldn't be here. Maybe it should go above the login. I'm not sure. But for now, I'm gonna just leave it here, and I'll try to figure it out later. Okay, and then the last thing is return, and we can just redirect to website index if everything went right. Else messages dot warning. So we assume that in here credentials were wrong and we couldn't log in. Could not authenticate. Check credentials. Okay. So if that happens, so let me have a look at the workflow here. So what happens here, and let me just take this context because it doesn't seem like we need it actually. So if the user is authenticated, then just give me a message that it's already done and take me to index. Then if we try to authenticate using post with a form, we try to authenticate and if everything is right, we go to redirect website index. Otherwise, we put that message here and we go to login again. What we could do also is something like this. We could say username is nothing and we pass it in here. So in context, we actually use some context, and it's going to be username, which is our username. Okay, so it's either nothing if we don't try to authenticate, if we are not in post, or if we are in post and we also did not authenticate, we pass that username here, so then we can put that back into the field, so the user doesn't have to put it back in case they made a mistake in password field and not the user field. At least one part is done for them. Okay, cool. So the last bit is HTML for the login. So let's go here and open login. And the same story as with the register, we go to our template, we open login page. And as you can see, again, it's already selected because I did that already just to make sure I know what I'm doing. And I know that I'm inside of body, container, and whatever is inside, this is what I'm selecting. So I'm selecting this, copy, and let's go to accounts, login. Oops, I didn't copy. Let's copy again, and let's paste it in here so we can close this. And we are not going to render any form because we don't have a form here. All I passed was this user. So let's go and just customize whatever we need to customize here for login. So we have welcome back, we can leave that. And then we have this input here. And I guess just to stick to the same pattern, let me see here. If you go to account and register, you have those labels here. And by default, we didn't have those labels. So I suppose we were going to just put them in here just to keep stuff in the same way. So label for, and as you can see here, we have an email field, and I think I'm going to keep it. I'll change this ID to email, and that's going to be for email. And what I'm going to put here is email. Okay. And then we have, okay, so it's email class, whatever class you need there. Okay, I'm going to just leave this by default, and I'm going to just put name, username, and that name is passed to views, and that's how we get it from here. That's why, username is taken from request post get username, because in HTML we pass that as name of that field. And remember, always name is being passed to the form. Okay, and please email address. Okay, so we can leave that as it is, and then we have this password here, so let's just change it to password and put that label here for password, and just say password. And obviously here we need to add that name, which is password. And in here, what do we have? We have this checkbox, which is for remember me. So let me just change that to, okay, and we have remember me, and we need to add a name to this input. Okay, that's a check, and I'm gonna do name, which is remember me, because we want to pass it to the backend with this name. Remember me is what it's going to look for. Okay, and then we have this button. That's fine. It should work except for this href. It's just a part of the form, and I just want that to be a submit button. So I'm going to just get rid of this A in here, and if I select it and just type button, it's going to change both opening and closing tag. And as a type, I want to make it submit. Okay, we don't want to have that href. And by the way, we have some references here to Google and Facebook. We don't want them. We can just get rid of those from here. And then we have this forgot password. We don't have that just yet, so I'm gonna get rid of that too. And we only have this create an account, and I'm gonna just change that to register, but using Django tag. URL accounts register. Okay, and so let's go to our website. So that's our register, and if I go to login, and I am already logged in as an admin, so let me just log out from an admin page. Okay, I'm logged out. Let me refresh and again try to go to an admin account, login, and that's our login. So that's our register, and that's the login. Perfect. I think it's looking really good. Last functional bit is logout. So let's just go to views, and logout is super easy. To log out, all we have to do is we have to say logout request, and that's it. And then you just redirect to whatever you want to go. I think login is kind of fair enough, because if you log out, maybe you want to log in as somebody else, or you can go to login. We can put a message here saying success request, and we can say logged out successfully. Okay, and this way we say, okay, this is everything went right and we're logged out. So let me register now, not as an admin. Register, and my name is Marek Kubiak, marek@gmail.com. Let's say I'm gonna put some easy password here, which is at least 8 letters long. We have that message here, and so let's go and try to log in. Okay, marek@gmail.com, and let's use that password there. And I forgot to put the post, and there was my password, my funny password there. So let me just go back to the login HTML and just go here, and it's a good mistake. Method is post. It's a good error, because it's good to know that if you don't put that post in here, you send your form by using get, which basically puts that in here, puts your credentials here, which is not a very good thing. And one more thing that I just noticed now, obviously I forgot, you probably thought that, okay, it's not going to work because he forgot about CSRF token, which always has to be included in a form. So we have a secure connection there. Okay, and password, remember me, and login. User marek@gmail.com, logged in successfully, and welcome. Cool, it seems to be working, but we don't have our template to work with it completely. We want to be able to log out, which doesn't work, and we want to see our name in here. For now, we were not going to do any profile settings or whatever, but at least we'll see a bit better HTML in our base. And now let's go to base.html. And by the way, there's one more thing that I wanted to do before we go to base, because I want to be able to tap into user in an easy way. So let's go to Marek's portfolio, no, miscellaneous, yeah, here, context processor. So I want to add a user in here. So I want to pass user from the request.user if request user dot is authenticated, okay? Else, none. Just pass nothing in there. It will be easier to specify what to do. So instead of always asking for is authenticated, I can just say if user, then do this. If it's none, then it's not going to do that. And if, okay? And that's it. If I go here and refresh and try to log out, so let's just do accounts, /accounts/logout, enter, logged out successfully, and now I don't see my finances app anymore. Okay, I can see those are being too long, so I'm gonna just do Option Command L, so it's all nice and formatted here. And let's just go down. What else do we have to change? We have to change this Douglas McGee, so let's just look for it. Douglas McGee. So we don't want any of that if we're not logged in. So we can leave this li in here and go inside of it and do if user, and I suppose we're gonna stop it just before this li ends. So all the way here, and if, but there's gonna be an else as well here. Else, we're gonna do something here. Okay, but before that, we're gonna just have a look here and change some bits and pieces. So if there is a user, we wanna keep this, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, and just change this to user last name. Okay, so that's gonna do exactly the same thing, but using my actual name. And then we have something here, which is a static. That's okay, we can leave it for now. We might add like a picture, but for now we're gonna just leave it as it is. We can leave those, they're not harmful. I might just like maybe get rid of these for now, just so it doesn't take too much space, but we have like some sort of a boilerplate. Maybe just call it placeholder for now. And this logout needs to be taken care of. So we have that href here, which is supposed to be just a hash, because look what happens here. If you do logout, it gives you this this pop-up here, which I want to tap into. So let's look for logout. So we have this logout here that goes to logout model. So let's look for this. Next one is in here somewhere, and that's where we want to do here. This logout HTML, that should be URL for accounts logout. Okay, let me now refresh here and do something. So now you can see that we are not logged in. So let me log in. Log in, and now we can log out and log out, and now we successfully log out. Cool. So let's do something. What is that do something? Do something here. Okay, I can't spell. So I guess if we are not logged in, so let me just put that back so it looks right. So if you're not logged in, we can do two things. We can log in or register, right? So let me just copy this part from here. Okay, and paste it here. And just change whatever we have to change for it to work. So we have this user drop down, so let's change it to auth drop down. Okay, and then we have a button here. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. And then it says, so it's gonna say something else. For this, I just want to put an icon here. So that's gonna be I class var fa user. That's the font awesome class. And by clicking on this, we are gonna open a drop-down menu. We don't need that picture here. And let's go and have a look here. So we have a couple of options. So I can see there's a placeholder. There's this divider that we don't need, so I can delete that. And there's our logout. So let's just change it to login and register, or register and login. So this will be href URL accounts register. And I suppose I can delete that and just put change that to register, copy, paste, beautify, accounts, login, and login. Okay, and let me see if it works. So let's refresh. It seems that we are in here. So as you can see, let's go to the index, and in here we have register and login. So if I go to register, I have this, and if I have login, we have this, and I can see that the icons are wrong. So let me just fix that very quick. That icon shouldn't be FA user. What I wanted to use was user plus, and in here it's going to be sign in. Sign in alternative. Okay, and let me see if I refresh that. What do we see? We have a register, which has this little sign, plus sign here, and in here we have like login, just walk in, okay? And that's how you get to places. Okay, if I go to again to register, it takes me to register, and if I want to log in, I can log in like this, and then I can just do marek@gmail.com and then put my password and log in, and I'm logged in, and there is my name, and there is a placeholder for nothing for now, and I can log out. If I press on this, I can see my finances here, so everything works fine. One last bit I just wanted to change was this message here. If I, now that I'm logged in, if I go to accounts, log in, you get this message here that doesn't tell you where to log out, and maybe you're in a rush, you want to get that message and you want to put a bit more HTML into your message. That's fine too. If you go to views, so in accounts, views, and let's go back to login, you're logged in. And what if you want to add a bit more information here? What if you want to say something like to switch user, and then we're going to say logout here, but we're going to use whatever we're using for logout. So let's find logout model, and this is the button that we use for logout. So we want to go back and get, where do we call this logout? So this is the logout model. Let's look for this, and let's go and look for the use of it here. And that's our button there. So let me just copy this and paste it right here. Okay, and I can see that obviously it's trying to get to get the line breaks there. So let me just delete that and just go Shift Command up. No, I'm gonna go Shift up and Command right and just delete that. And now we have our text, which goes like this. And let me just put the line breaks where I need to put them. So let me see, model, blah, 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 text, and that should be fine. So let me see, to switch user, blah, 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 logout. Okay, we don't need this actually here, so I can just get rid of that. We don't need to have this icon there. So let's just have a look here, log out here. Okay, and let's see, what do we get now? Accounts, login, and ooh, that's it's not supposed to be a button. So that's a drop-down item. It's not a drop-down item, it's just a link. So we might be able to put that here, and now it should work. Let's put that account here again and log in. And now we have this, okay, to switch user, log out here. And then we can log out and log in again. So it's a little bit more friendly. Cool, so we have our users working. We don't have the forgot password just yet, but I don't want to mess with emails and stuff. I want to get that done later after we finish the My Finances app, because I'm really eager to put my hands on My Finances. It's going to be so cool. I kind of want to start using it as well. Like I'm pretty sure I'm going to just like log in and start using it for my finances, because why not? So yeah, I'm super excited, and I know it took a while to get those users working, but now that we have them working, we can get our hands dirty with the My Finances app. Okay, thanks guys, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.